Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Colonel, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next up, we've got a moment of silence, and would ask that keep in mind we've got several families in the county right now that are really struggling with some individual tragedies, and please be sure you keep those folks in mind while you're recognizing our moment of silence. Thank you. First item of business is our agenda approval. The agenda has been published and is available for everybody to see. I would like to request that we make a change and pull the Rotary Day proclamation out of the consent agenda and move it down to item number 4. And then we'll just shift everything down 1 at that point. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley?
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, agenda is approved. Up next is our consent agenda this evening. That includes the standard tax refunds and releases, contract with Electus Governmental Affairs, which is just a replacement contract for a previous one that existed. Everything matched up word for word. North Carolina Department of Information Technology, broadband agreement ratification, and that is the other half of the great grant money that we had set aside, just for the public knowledge there. Golden Leaf Funding grantee agreement, and approval of our January 9th regular minutes and January 23rd special meeting minutes. At this time, I would entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move that we approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Hensley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner White. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Consent agenda passes. Next item of business is going to be public comment. And when you come up, please state your name and the community that you live in, and then you'll have 3 minutes. First on the list is Glennis Ponder. Come on up, Ms. Ponder.
Commissioners, I'm Glennis Ponder, and I live in Mars Hill. And county commissioners, county manager, county attorney, Mr. Booth, I am publicly requesting copies of the more than 1,000 emails that the planning board chair said had been received concerning the Mountain Ridge Protection Ordinance. Please let me know when and where I can pick these copies up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ponder. Up next on the list is Tony Ponder.
Commissioners Wickle, Chairman Wickle, Commissioners, I'm Tony Ponder, resident of Mars Hill. I know being a commissioner is a tough job. and we thank you for your service. At a recent planning board meeting, the board voted unanimously to allow ridge top development. Many in the audience were against it. They felt the board had decided the issue prior to the meeting. How did we get an 8-0 vote with so many against this ridge top development? You commissioners select members to the planning board and other boards. I applied not too long ago, and I'm still waiting for a call. I can accept not being selected. We had a blogger, say MadisonCounty.org in Spring Creek, Hot Springs area, who applied. She's a relatively new resident with 24 years of planning experience. A statement was made that no one from Hot Springs had applied. A member from outside Hot Springs was appointed. She deserved better. Hot Springs and the county deserve better. In my opinion, we should open up these boards to all county residents, not those who were appointed to push a narrow agenda. We have a zoning ordinance that took years to put in place. They are there to protect us all. Something is wrong when a board of adjustment has to decide on variances that should never come before it. What is wrong with your planning staff? It's time for the county to put competent personnel in place, one that will follow our planning and zoning ordinances. I believe that we've had enough of the good old boy, anything goes system. We, again, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Ponder. The last person signed up for public comment is, I believe says Clayton Honeycutt, is that correct? Thank you, Clayton. Sorry, I didn't see you back there.
I'm hot. So my name's Clay Honeycutt from Davis Chapel. I only have 3 minutes, so I'll do the heavy lifting with a piece of paper.
It's all good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. There's been a lot of talk about the ridge top payments. And there's a bunch of copies. If anybody out here would like a copy of that so they can see what we're discussing. I've spoken with a lot of people on both sides of this issue. And I think the comment that getting rid of this ridge top ordinance would be dead on arrival if you were a board member is so short-sighted. That doesn't stop any development from occurring on the county. Well, we're going to set ourselves up for a place where somebody comes in and they say, I'm going to put a road right out the center of this ridge, which is allowed under our ordinance as it stands now. I'm going to feed houses off both sides. Doesn't take much room to put a road, 50 feet's gone. Now we're feeding houses off both sides. What I'm concerned is then we'll have all kinds of comments. Look what the planning board has done. They approved this. We don't pick. We don't get to choose. Did they meet the requirements or did they not meet the requirements? So if our requirements are insufficient, that's a problem we have to deal with now, not after. We can be proactive or we can be reactive. But if we react, we're still going to have that one scenario that set off the entire reaction. That will be allowed. Where will that be? Who knows? I don't know. But it will happen. And if we've lost sight, and a lot of people have tried to make a lot of political hay out of this, those folks are going to whack you with that political stick either way. This is just the stick that happens to be here. This is an issue that we have the chance to fix right now, and it wouldn't take very long. It took me longer to type that, promise you, than it did to come up with those ideas. And those are just spitballs. And this is nothing from the planning board. This is just me. As I said, I don't want to come from Wolf down to Morris Hill and see the entire ridge line with lights and houses. We can stop that right now. I don't know if a moratorium is correct or if we just push this off until we can get something together, 2 to 3 months. It shouldn't take 2 years to have endless meetings. Any one of those would be far better than what we have now. This 50-foot setback only hurts families who own this land and want to build on it. It doesn't hurt a developer. A developer sells the view, not the flat. The cost of the foundation makes no difference to the developer.
Time's up, Mr. Honeycutt.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for your
Thank you.
outline as well. Thank you. Up next on the agenda is a proclamation in regards to the Rotary Club, and I will read this proclamation into the record here. Whereas the Rotary Club of Madison County chartered on February 6, 2004, with the first club meeting occurring on March 11, 2004, with the principle of service above self, and has served Madison County community for 20 years. And whereas the Rotary Club of Madison County celebrates this long history of service in our community, serving many individuals and many groups who, with this dedication of Rotary, has made their lives and our lives richer. And whereas the Rotary Club of Madison County, hold on a second. Whereas the Rotary Club of Madison County, with programs from local to international, fulfills the objective of Rotary, which is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster, first, the opportunity for service; second, the high ethical standards in business and professions; third, the application of the ideal of service by every member in their personal, business, and community life; fourth, the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace. And whereas the Rotary Club of Madison County has raised $390,000 over the past 20 years, directing 89% of that money, 89% of that amount back into the community, 2/3 of this for youth service, and the remaining amounts for community service, vocational service, environmental service, and international service. Some of those funds go to scholarships for students, money for arts and music programs, sponsoring and maintaining the bird garden at the Marshall Library, volunteer staffing at the COVID call center, and providing money for heat and food for those in need, and many other programs. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners in Madison County, North Carolina, the day of March 11th, 2024, as Rotary Club of Madison County Day in celebration of their 20 years of service to this community. We extend our deepest appreciation to the Rotary Club of Madison County for efforts in our community, and wish them the best while offering our support in moving forward with this grand tradition and with applause for their purpose, this 13th day of February 2024. And I will enter this proclamation in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Garrison. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you, Rotary. Appreciate what you guys do. Thank you very much. Up next on the agenda is a public hearing, acceptance and appropriation of economic development funds for real property development. And is this just going to be Brad, or are we just going to, okay, come on up, Brad.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Chairman, I thought you have information in your book about that, you and I spoke about it.
I'm sorry.
This is what you and I had spoke about. You
Right.
Have information.
I understand, we're not, this is, they call for a public hearing, but we're not doing the public hearing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We need to address the issue on the agenda though, do we not?
Yes.
Okay, so at this point, because the advertisement was insufficient, we can't properly conduct the public hearing, so it's gonna have to be postponed until the next meeting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but I just assumed that Brad would need to present something in order to achieve that. Am I incorrect about that?
I was just gonna tell you what you just said.
Okay, well, there you go. All right.
So, you know, we just to reiterate what's happening, so everybody else knows, is that we secured a grant from Golden Leaf for $1.5 million. That's the maximum amount that we can get from Golden Leaf for that particular grant for site development. And we projected a budget of just over $1.8 million, and the county's contribution to that project was gonna be $295,550. And $55,000 of that was gonna come out of my department's budget this year, and then the remaining amount, $239,550, is what we needed to have the public hearing to discuss for a grant project ordinance. And but the original budget that we had submitted, our part was $215,000, but Golden Leaf, their board and their consulting engineer asked us to include a retaining wall in our project that our engineer did not initially project us needing. So, and of course, you know, we submitted our application and they reviewed it, and their engineer came back and said, you need to put this retaining wall item in the budget. And that's what changed our initial budget. But unfortunately, the revised project costs were only in the budget document and not in the original grant text. And so we used the original grant text to do the advertisement for our public hearing, so the amount it was wrong. So we will need to reschedule that public hearing for our next meeting in March.
So in a nutshell, we made a procedural error, and so the public hearing that was scheduled to be tonight for the economic development project will be postponed till our regular March meeting and will appear on that agenda. Is that a correct summation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll renotice it with the correct amount in the public notice.
Correct. So at this time, do we need to make an official motion to postpone the public hearing?
Just don't do
Okay,
that.
so we're just gonna skip? All right, very good. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. Sorry about that. All right, up next on our agenda this evening is Finance Officer Carrie Ledford.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
So before you tonight, find for your approval, item A, which is budget amendment number 8. This amendment records the additional revenue brought in by donations to both your library in the amount of $1,255.68, and to your animal shelter in the amount of $21,000. Also recording revenue from the sale of surplus property totaling $9,380. Year 2 is the recording of additional revenue generated by the quarter-cent sales tax in the amount of $66,676.69.
And if best I can recall, it's much higher than
That's
average,
much
is it
higher.
not?
Yes, it is.
Very good. Good for them. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead. Okay, is that it?
That is it.
Okay. So we've got budget amendment number 8 as presented in our packet and is just summarized by Madam Finance Officer. Is there a motion to approve budget amendment number 8?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner White. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion?
I'll have one point discussion. I'd like for this board at some point with the county manager to entertain line item change for those surplus property sales to move over to economic development endeavors. Something to discuss maybe at a later date.
Very good. Any additional discussion?
It's what's the word?
Unencumbered? Is that the word? Is that the proper word?
It's money we hadn't counted on getting.
Oh, okay, I got you. Unrealized gains. There you go. All right. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second on the floor for the approval of budget amendment number 8. All in favor? you.
Next, item B is January's financial reports. On the top of the first page, you'll see that we're at 58% of the FY '24 budget. On the second page, you see our general funds. We've received 70.15% of our revenues, and our expenses are at 48%. You've requested in the past, so I brought numbers with me this time. So last year at this time, our revenues were at 72% and our expenses at 56%. So we're quite below our expenses for this time. In 2021, revenues were at 72%, expenses at 52%. In 2020, our revenues were at 66% and our expenses at 55%. And in 2019, our revenues were at 61% of the budget and our expenses at 52%.
At 51, I'm sorry.
52.
And could you give us the numbers for current, I'm sorry.
Sure. Revenues is 70% and our expenses at 48%.
So we're pretty much right on target for revenues and slightly under for expenses, correct?
Correct.
Based on historical data.
Correct.
Yeah, that's good. Real good.
Very good.
Good work, Colonel. Work, Harry.
Thank you for that information.
It's hugely beneficial in perspective.
Anybody else have any other questions in regards to the financial report?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
All right. Up next is our County Manager, Rod Honeycutt.
All right, gentlemen, tonight, a couple topics. First one is I want to give you an update on internal staff working groups, 6 in particular. I'm going to start off first with Brad and ask him to come back up and talk about biomass and where we're at timeline-wise. I think next month we'll present the draft, and then the following month to the board for approval. They should tell me something different.
That is correct.
So we're tracking to meet the timeline that was given to the work group, and we've had participation from the community, from commissioners, and from internal with the group. Just giving you an update that we're tracking. You'll see it next month. Subject questions on that one. All right, gentlemen, thank you. The next topic is the old courthouse working group.
Thank you, Brad.
The old courthouse working group. You have a document in front of you on the left that on the top of it says Madison County Renovation Budget Update. First of all, we'll start with saying that the courthouse ceremony last week was a proud moment, and I was proud to see the county employees and the team from Rock Mountain and what they've done, and the courthouse work group who got this started. This is kind of the final due out to the committee and to the commissioners. So we talked to you back in October the 27th, and we thought that the grand total for the building would be somewhere around 1.1 million. And through the receipts right now, we have just crested the 1 million mark. So we'll come in underspent where we're at as a group. There are still a few receipts that Jesse's working on with a boiler system and the roof. But for the most part, we will come in underspent and on time. So it was a good news story. And I want to thank Commissioner Hensley for making sure that I understood that from the beginning. We will meet that objective. So, gentlemen, some of your questions on that document.
Any punch list at all, or everything came through perfectly fine? We found any problems?
No contractual problems. We had a couple damages to a window. We had to work with a contractor. We had a damage to a server that overheated due to plastic on the windows that we had to work through. Was that it? I think it was two things that really we had to go to negotiation, but Broad Mountain was up front, along with Jesse and myself, communications. I think everything, they were good stewards of our dollars and good stewards of our house, the courthouse.
Colonel, there was some talk like, you remember the 800,000 something, and there was some talk we do with $1 million approval that is potential that it could come in at 800,000 based
So
on.
it came in at.
They didn't know what we'd get.
It came in at $800,060, $6,800. I said that number wrong, big number. 868,000. And originally it came in at 1.2 because they wanted to have a 24% contingency rate.
Yeah,
So we
that's what it
dropped that
was.
down to 12 and was still able to make call the work with contingency. There was really no devastating fines during the construction, that they didn't have to dip into contingency. And that allowed them to do some of the extra work that we talked about. We got the break room in, we got some of the judge's chambers, some upgrades that they helped us with because they had that extra money left over.
So while we may not have seen the realized huge cost savings as we were anticipating, we were able to do some extra things with the cost savings that actually were there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen.
Appreciate your leadership on it.
We'll transition to a new work group, which is the Courthouse Advisory Work Group. We have met 4 times. Next meeting is this week, and we are to the point now where you have a draft copy of a request for qualifications in front of you. That will go back in front of the advisory group on Thursday, and then we will bring this to your approval with any last minute edits later. This week, we will interview a financial advisor. We have interviewed a couple via Zoom. They will be in person this week, and depending on that interview, we will ask the board's permission to retain that advisor to guide us through the process of finding funds for courthouse construction. But we are on target with the sense of urgency, knowing that the money that was remaining from the original courthouse grant has to be committed by June 30th. To limit a sense of urgency. Gentlemen, subject to questions on that group. Oh, and there's a resolution. That's probably the most important thing there. That resolution, the chairman will have to sign before we submit the RFQ. And that RFQ, the resolution gives criteria that the county must meet or match or take into consideration before publishing the RFQ. I want to reiterate, the RFQ is not a legal agreement. That agreement comes after we meet with the firms that we ask to come in, and they will then send us a contract for us to redline and negotiate on as we move forward. Donnie, hit that?
You did, yes, sir.
So the RFQ and the resolution, we need to do our homework on and study and be prepared to deal with this during the work session later in the month.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just make sure we had a timeline down.
Appreciate the heads up on it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for getting that plenty of time in advance here. All right.
So the next work group is the solid waste ordinance review. And right now we have economic development, solid waste team, the tax department, county manager, and assistant to county manager. We have met 3 times, and we will bring during the budget cycle recommendations to that ordinance along with an updated fee schedule. Just let you know where we're at with that group. Subject questions on that topic.
Colonel, as far as that work group goes, and any work group henceforth, I'd like to see that the board has opportunity to put someone on it voluntarily if they so choose to serve on it.
Yes, sir.
This board.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure that notices go out prior to the meetings and for predictability. Number 5 is our budget work group, and that is really all the directors. Each of the directors have budget worksheets now. Tomorrow we will cover the framework and start the schedule of when we begin interfacing with the board. We'll probably need about 3 to 4 weeks with the directors to get each one of them in to finish facts and assumptions that we're making about the budget process. And then we will begin late March scheduling meetings with the commissioners with a little bit of an asterisk at the end. Some of the budget items will not be done until June-ish, May, that from the state, that will still be left out. But we will have a good product for your review once we finish with the directors over the next 3 weeks.
Very good.
Subject questions on that?
Good timeline.
Anybody have questions on that?
And in not a work group, but just for public knowledge, the last tax information session is tomorrow night at Epps Chapel. So if you know that the reevaluations are going on, ask you to make your way to Epps Chapel tomorrow night, and we will go over the tax evaluation or property assessment progress and way forward. Jim, subject questions on work groups? or guidance.
For those that might be interested, that is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, correct?
I'm sorry, Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday night at 6 o'clock.
Thursday, 6 o'clock, Ebbs Chapel, at the Community Center in the big, in their, what do they call in the room there?
Marcia,
Is Marcia still here?
the banquet room.
The banquet room, that's right, okay, very good. Not the theater, but the banquet room, correct? All right. Very good. Is that all you had on that? Those
That's the
issues?
work groups currently that I'm working on, subsecurity guidance.
Okay, so I would like to recommend some guidance at this point. At this point, I would like to recommend the formation of a ridgetop protection work group so that we can put together an idea as to how we are going to consider any changes. If there will be any changes, the group could come back and say they don't recommend any changes, but regardless, we have a planning board that has recommended that the ridgetop protection rule be changed, and I think in an attempt to take all things into consideration, the best way to attack that would be with a work group.
Technology.
Any discussion from the other members of this board in regards to that?
I'd just like to clarify the internal work group that the colonel at any point can request input from people outside the county government. And then we have at least 2 commissioners serve on that work group.
We'll develop a framework, proposed schedule.
Sounds great.
Notify the public, notify the commissioners, make sure we get maximum participation in that group. Or appropriate participation in that group.
Right.
I don't say max.
Right, appropriate, and I think also a timeline that is
Judicious.
yeah, judicious. Not we don't want this lingering for an eternity here.
Acknowledged.
That's something that one way or the other needs. We need to deal with the situation at hand.
Thank you for that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Sir.
If you have subject questions, with the transition to 6B, county owned surplus property. Gentlemen, there's one property up for your consideration. We received 2 bids on a $232,200 assessed property consisting of 80 acres. Original bid was $500, and that bid was upset by $15,000. Gentlemen, subject to your guidance on that piece of property.
I move that we reject those bids. They're an insult. It's 80 acres. They want to give us $515,000 for it. Get real.
Say what now? What was the 500?
Offers 500 and then 15,000.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I
For
thought
80 acres.
I thought you
Not
mentioned.
515,000.
I'm sorry. That's where I thought you were going with it.
I would have accepted that bid. My motion is to reject those.
Do we need
I
to
second.
reject the bids individually, or can we reject them both at the same time? Okay, so we have a motion by Vice Chairman Garrison to reject both bids for this surplus property. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley.
80 acres, the head of Upper Shut-In borders federal government land for sale. Free media.
Everybody get your pencil sharpened. Get your checkbooks out.
$500 ain't gonna get.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor of rejecting both bids? Unanimous.
Thank you guys for putting in the details there as well.
Gentlemen, moving to 5C, correction, 6C.
Actually 7C, but go ahead.
7C,
Yeah.
technically, yes, sir, we do an adjustment there. It's board vacancies, and quite a few to cover tonight. The first one is the Board of Adjustment. There are 7 positions with 12 applicants. And we have to do each one individually, Chairman.
Okay.
Chairman Wexler, I move we appoint Robert Briggs for a 3-year term.
So we have a motion on the floor to appoint Robert Briggs to the board, or to reappoint Robert Briggs to the Board of Adjustments for a 3-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Hart Barnhill to a 2-year term on the Board of Adjustment.
So the motion by Commissioner Wyatt to reappoint Art Barnhill to a 2-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Garrison. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right, we've got another 2-year term that needs to be addressed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move that we appoint Frank Carr for the 2-year term.
So a motion by Commissioner Hensley to appoint Frank Carr to the Board of Adjustments for a 2-year term.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All in favor? So now we have a 1-year term. These are staggered because this is, just so everybody knows, these terms are set up this way so that they will be staggered going forward. And then once the initial term expires, then these will all shift to 3-year terms. So we have a 1-year term position available next.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move we appoint Tyler Harwood for that 1 year.
So we have a motion for Tyler Harwood by Commissioner Hensley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Garrison. Any discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? We have one more term, 1-year term on the Board of Adjustments to fill.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Audrey Adams to that 1-year term on the Board of Adjustment.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Wyatt for Audrey Adams.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right. Now we now have 2 alternate positions that are available to be seated. Do we wish to address those alternate positions at this time?
I move we appoint Conley Goforth for the 3-year alternate position.
Got a motion by Vice Chairman Garrison for Conley Goforth as a 3-year alternate term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? We have 1 more alternate position that would be a 3-year term that is available for discussion. Do we choose to take that up tonight?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Ernest Ramsey to that alternate position.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Wyatt to appoint Ernie Ramsey as alternate for a 3-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman Garrison. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right, I believe that fills all the vacant positions on the Board of Adjustments at this time.
Gentlemen, now we transition to the Board of Health. You have 2 vacancies and 2 applicants.
Chairman Wackel, just for a point of clarity, I actually confirmed with Madam Clerk. The reason we're seeing Dr. Young's name again is because at the time he was appointed, there was only a few months. Is that correct, Madam?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
He was only a couple of months left in that term.
so he was just filling out an unserved term?
Exactly. So
Okay.
I'm make a motion that we appoint Dr. Charles Young for a 3-year term.
Okay, and that position, just for the public's knowledge, that position requires an individual to be a medical doctor, and Dr. Young fulfills that requirement. So we've got a motion by Vice Chairman Garrison for Charles Young to be reappointed to the Board of Health. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right. We've got one more position on the Board of Health, and this position requires the applicant to be an engineer. And to the best of my recollection, there was only one applicant that was an engineer, would be a reappointment of Larry Peak. Am I correct in that assessment? Yes, sir. So I'll make Larry Peak in the form, I will make the motion to put Larry Peak on as the engineer representative for the Board of Health in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right.
Gentlemen, next is the Economic Development Board. There's 2 vacancies with 4 applicants.
Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Garrison, you serve on that board, so I will
Yes, sir.
defer to you.
There's 4 applicants, or there's 5 applicants?
I'm sorry, 5 applicants. You have another.
Well, I will say this, that board is in the middle of a lot of ongoing projects that have taken an extensive amount of time to come to fruition to the place where we're at now. I guess for an old idiom, I wouldn't want to upset the apple cart, even though the candidates that aren't serving on that board would all make great additions to that board. At this time, the Economic Development Board would be much more suited to keep the 2 that are there and to keep those other 3 in mind for future vacancies.
Okay. So you making that in the form of a motion as the board's representative?
I make a motion that we reappoint Jonathan Sutts to a 3-year term.
So motion is to reappoint Jonathan Zooks as to a 3-year term on the Economic Development Board. That motion has been made by Vice Chairman Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, go to a vote. All in favor? Okay. We've got one more spot there, currently Chad Bradley, so are you making that in the form of motion as well, Vice Chairman?
So moved.
So we've got a motion by Vice Chairman Garrison to reappoint Chad Bradley to a 3-year term on the Economic Development Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Is that correct? Did I hear that right? Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to add that for those other 3 applicants, we hold their applications, Madam Clerk,
Yes, we do.
for future opportunities.
Very good. So any additional discussion? Hearing none at this time, move to a vote. All in favor? All right.
Gentlemen, next is the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. There's 3 applicants, and unfortunately, the January meeting for the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council did not occur, so request that we table this one until the March meeting.
So there are 3 openings, but currently I don't believe we have any applicants at this time. Is that correct? Okay. So at this point, I will make a motion that we table the appointments for the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley?
Yes.
Sorry, guys, I'm having a hard time distinguishing your voices tonight. I apologize. So we have a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote to table. All in favor? All right.
And gentlemen, final is the Transportation Authority Board for 3 vacancies with 4 applicants.
Actually, we've got 4 vacancies, do we not, Colonel?
You do.
Okay.
Correction 4.
So the first one, these are similar to the Board of Health. They require specific professional requirements. First one is a requirement for a DSS representative, currently served by Connie Harris. She has agreed to serve again and has put in her application. This is a 2-year term. Is there a motion? I guess since I'm the representative on that board currently, I'll go ahead and make that in the form of a motion that we reappoint Connie Harris to the Transportation Authority Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Up next is a requirement that the individual be a community member. And one applicant for that position was Lawrence Russell Burleson. And again, as representative on that board, I will make the motion that we reappoint Mr. Burleson to the Transportation Authority Board as a community member. There's a second by Commissioner Briggs. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? Yes, he will. The next one is a requirement for someone from the Rural Planning Organization, and that director is Vicki Eastland. Vicki has agreed to serve again, and this time I would make the motion that we reappoint Vicki Eastland to the Transportation Authority Board for a term of 2 years. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll move to a vote. All in favor? All right. And last but not least, the county commissioner's position on that board, which is me, and I think it would be out of character for me to nominate myself. So at this point, I'll open the floor up for any nominations for any county commissioner that would like to serve on that board. If there's someone else that would like to, I'll be more than happy to let you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Matthew Wechtel as the commissioner representative on that board.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hensley and a second by Commissioner Briggs. Any discussion? Sure nobody else wants to do it?
Yeah, if you do that quick, so they don't get you on.
Sure nobody else wants to do it?
It's another one of those boards where you're very familiar with what's taking place and what's down the pike, so it's imperative you stay there.
Very good. All in favor? All right. I believe that's everything for tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the upcoming boards, 2 Board of Health vacancies and 1 Transportation Authority vacancy. Gentlemen, next, need to ask the board's permission to create a position with the Animal Services. I'm requesting to add a 20-hour a week at $14 an hour position.
Mr. County Manager, hang tight. This time I need a motion to amend the agenda for personnel, do I not? Okay. So this time, we do have a personnel matter that we need to address this evening. And at this time, I would entertain a motion that we amend the agenda to add 7D personnel on behalf of the county manager.
So move.
Motion by Vice Chairman Garrison. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hensley. Any discussion? That was an oversight on my part at the beginning of the night, and I apologize for that. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor? All right, the agenda stands amended to add 7D personnel.
I give request permission to add a temporary part-time position to the Animal Services at $14 an hour for 20 hours a week, and that is for a 4-month temporary position.
All right, we have a request by the county manager. Anybody care to make a motion?
I move that we accept his recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Briggs. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, move to a vote. All in favor?
All right, Jim, the last thing I've got from the county manager's update, acknowledge the 2 tasks. 1, discussion for moving surplus property from general fund to economic development fund. And the second one is the Ridgetop Protection Work Group with the guidance that you provided earlier. Jim, that's all I've got. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? The county manager.
Thank you, Colonel.
Hearing none, the next item on the agenda this evening would be adjournment. Is there a motion that we adjourn?
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Wyatt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Briggs. He gets on the scoreboard late, but he comes back with a flourish. So we have a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you.